I can love you better than she can.
Star 927.
This and every Tuesday, Coral Beach heats up for Latin Sunset with DJ Carter, dropping the best Latin beats from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Weekly special guest salsa and dance performances, food and drink happy hour specials from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. For table reservations and cabanas bookings, contact bookings at coralbeach.ky. Join DJ Carter this and every Tuesday for Latin Sunset at Coral Beach.
We understand that things are different, and we are committed to providing you with the service that you need with convenience through our MyCUC online portal. Working remotely and students being home from school doesn't have to mean higher electricity bills. Monitor and manage your energy consumption by using our Customer Connect energy management tool. This allows you to track and make adjustments to your energy usage to avoid consuming high amounts of electricity and keep your electricity bill lower. Protect your health and the health of others by avoiding crowds and using PowerPay to manage payments for accounts from wherever you are most comfortable. If you're not signed up for MyCUC as yet, it's quick and easy. Just contact our customer service team at service@cuc.ky or 949-5200 today. Remember, we're all in this together. You've got the power to make a difference.
Have you checked out the Island Heritage Insurance website? They have upgraded their online payment options to make it easier for you to get a quote, make a claim, and renew your policy. Log on to islandheritageinsurance.com. Island Heritage Insurance is also here for you this hurricane season with helpful tips from their Hurricane Handbook. Just log on to islandheritageinsurance.com/hurricane.
Live from Star 927 Studios in the center of Cayman's capital city, Georgetown. This is Straight Talk with Ruth Anna.
Good evening, everybody. You are tuned into Straight Talk, brought to you exclusively by Star 92.7 Premium Radio. I am your host, Ruth Anna Young. Always honored to be your host here on Straight Talk every Monday through Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here and nowhere else other than Star 92.7. 5:05 on the Star 92.7 clock, and it is the 28th of July, speeding on through this month. We are almost to the end of July and into August, but today I am joined, not for the first time for either of them, and we'll get to catch up with them for a little bit, but Mr. Robert Scotland and Mr. Leo Anglin of the Cayman Islands Coast Guard. The Coast Guard is recruiting, and I will, in the course of this hour, we will find out more about what is the Coast Guard, what positions are they recruiting for, and who are they looking for. And I will preface this all by saying that they are looking for young Caymanians, an opportunity that is presenting itself for further training and development in the country as well. But we will get to know all about that in short course. 943-3700 is the line in studio. And you can also WhatsApp me at 324-1565, or you can email me at straighttalk@gmail.com. We are also streaming live video from the Star 92.7 Facebook page. Shout out to all of you, whether you're tuned in via radio or via the Facebook stream. If you are logged in on Facebook and watching via Facebook, you can also leave your questions, comments, or concerns there, and I will be sure to share them with the guests in studio this afternoon so that we can get them answered or share your thoughts. But keep it locked all the way up until 6 o'clock this evening. But you guys know the deal. Before we go any further into our conversation on Straight Talk, we always start our time with a reading of today's Daily Bread. So today's Daily Bread is entitled Trusting God in Times of Sorrow. And the scripture comes from 2 Timothy 1 verse 12 and reads, I know whom I have believed. When a man known as Papa John learned he had terminal cancer, he and his wife Carol sensed God calling them to share their illness journey online. Believing that God would minister through their vulnerability, they posted their moments of joy and sorrow and their sorrow and pain for 2 years. When Carol wrote that her husband went into the outstretched arms of Jesus, hundreds of people responded, with many thanking Carol for their openness. One person remarked that hearing about dying from a Christian point of view was healthy, for we all have to die someday. Another said that although she'd never met the couple personally, she couldn't express how much encouragement she received through her witness of trusting God. Although Papa John sometimes felt excruciating pain, he and Carol shared their stories so they could demonstrate how God upheld them. They knew their testimony would bear fruit for God, echoing what Paul wrote to Timothy when he suffered. I know whom I have believed, and I am convinced that he is able to guard what I have entrusted to him until that day. God can use even the death of a loved one to strengthen our faith in Him and the faith of others. Through the grace we receive in Christ Jesus, if you are experiencing anguish and difficulty, know that He can bring comfort and peace. Thanks be to God for that word today. As always, here on Straight Talk, we remind you, we encourage you to spend time each and every day focused on His word, meditating on His grace and how awesome He is. And so, with that, I open up my microphones. Mr. Robert Scotland and Leo Anglin in studio with me this afternoon from the Cayman Coast Guard. And I already have a slew of questions coming in on Facebook, but I will first start by asking both of you, and Mr. Robert, I'll ask you to start by first introducing yourself. Not everyone may be familiar with your title within the context of the Cayman Coast Guard new role that you transitioned into. So if you could, just for the benefit of the listening public that are less familiar, tell them, what is your title, your role in the Cayman Coast Guard, and what do you do? What role do you fill?
Good afternoon, Ruth Anna. Good afternoon to your listening audience. Thank you again for having us. My name is Robert Scotland. I'm the commander of the Coast Guard. The rank is commander, and the title is actually commandant of the Coast Guard.
Mhm. Okay, and what is for those who are not as savvy as others, what is your role like? What do you do?
So basically, the role of the commandant is you're the head of the organization, or I'm the head of the organization, responsible for the strategic and operational direction of it. Working along with my Deputy Lieutenant Commander Anglin, we are basically at the moment setting up the Coast Guard. So we're building it basically from the ground up.
Got it. And thank you for that. And that's what I wanted to kind of help people understand, that, I want to make sure in layman's terms, we help outline this for people. So, Mr. Anglin, I know that Mr. Robert did, give your title, but if you could just introduce yourself and your role as well with the Cayman Coast Guard.
Sure. Good afternoon, to the viewing and listening audience. My name is Lieutenant Commander and Deputy Commandant of the Guard.
One second. Hold on one second. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Robert, if you could do me a favor, just mute your mic whenever Leo's speaking, please. I think that's where the feedback may be coming from. Let me see.
Gotcha. So essentially, my role is to spearhead the operational direction in terms from the organization. So essentially, all the taskings and so forth come through me in regards to the marching order, so to speak, in terms of any objectives we want to accomplish. So Commander Scotland delegates those to me, and I put them into action essentially, along with other various tasks that fall within my purview.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I know that the Cayman Coast Guard is essentially a new institution, a new element to border protection, and by my understanding is also, law enforcement within the Cayman Islands. And so if one of you, I guess Mr. Scotland, you could take this one. Could you explain to the listening public what is the role of the Cayman Coast Guard? It is new, and a new institution in within the context of the Cayman Islands government and law enforcement. So, could you just share with everyone what is the Coast Guard as a whole? What is it? What is its role?
Okay. Sorry. The role of the Coast Guard is pretty much to ensure the maritime safety and security of the Cayman Islands. It's not a new role, and this role is actually being fulfilled right now by the Cayman Islands, the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service Joint Marine Unit. Mm-hmm. What the Coast Guard will do is actually bring more focus towards both the law enforcement aspect, but also the search and rescue aspect, the maritime search and rescue aspect. Mm-hmm. One of the the differences that you will see between the Coast Guard and the Joint Marine Unit is more focused maritime patrols being delivered around the islands, sorry, as well as addressing our international obligations with the International Maritime Organization relative to search and rescue.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Now I'm gonna, Mr. Levon Bodden has sent in some questions on Facebook. I know he has quite a few questions, so I'll take them one by one as we continue on through our conversation to try to get the answers to some of those questions for him. His first question is, why do we need the Coast Guard? Why is it a necessary institution?
It's a good question. So while the Joint Marine Unit provides a service, that service has been heavily focused on the law enforcement aspect of it. Not taking away from the law enforcement, but what we also have to realize is that because of where we sit within the Caribbean, we're in a major shipping lane. Also, we have a lot of persons who engage in maritime recreational and commercial activity. The search and rescue and the safety component is probably one of the biggest issues that we face, but also one of those which has not been properly addressed. For example, there's nothing that stops you on a Sunday from getting in your vessel, going up to, other than the law at the moment, but going up to, say, Cayman or Rum Point, having as much as you want to drink, taking that same vessel and driving back to where you live. You can do that on the roads. Down to the safe operation of vessels. Again, anybody over 15 years of age can get behind the wheel of a vessel or get behind the helm of a vessel and operate it with pretty much no regulations. Internationally, there are things called rules of the road. Just like there are rules of the road for driving, there are rules of the road for operating on the water. Unfortunately, because we don't have any legislation or regulations in place, the maritime knowledge, if you will vary from person to person.
Okay, got it. And thank you for sharing that. And to switch to the fact that the Coast Guard is now recruiting, right? I want to make it very clear, who are you guys looking for? So the Coast Guard, I think some people have heard some of the radio ads and may have seen some of the messages that have gone around and different posts on social media, but we know that the Coast Guard is recruiting. Who are you looking for? Who is your ideal candidates?
So ideally, we're looking for young Caymanians, men and women, who are keen to serve their country, looking for a new, exciting, rewarding career on the water, who basically want to give something back. At the same time, who want to pick up some skills skills that are not strangers to Caymanians. Cayman has a very strong seafaring heritage, but recently it's not as strong as it used to be in the past. What a lot of young people may not know is that the careers and opportunities in the maritime industry is still there, and they're quite they're ever growing. What we're hoping to do is give people who are interested those skills that if they would like to stay with us for 20 years, we'd love to have them. But we also realize that we're in an industry where people don't stay 20 years in jobs anymore. So what we want to do is make sure that the time that you spend with us, we give you the skills that we need, but also give you the skills that you need, that you can get employment or you can find jobs should you decide to leave us.
Okay. And that actually answers, I think, one of the questions that came on in from Mr. Levon Bodden. But I also see Mr. Jaron Carter on Facebook, and he asks, and I'll summarize. He says, yeah, is it only 5 candidates out of like the 300 plus people that will apply? Do you have a specific number of positions you're trying to fill?
We're trying to fill 10 vacancies. We would love to fill more. The demand for people are there. Well, however, we do have to contend with allocated budgets. But again, ultimately, we're hoping that the Coast Guard will be over 40 persons strong. This year, we have vacancies for 10, so that's what we're recruiting for at the moment.
Okay, no problem. I trust that that answers Mr. Carter's message. And so you're looking for young Caymanians. One and the other question, you answered Levon's question. I think when he says, how will they ensure that even the unemployable become employable and get hired with this force? And he says that we can transform lives, through the Coast Guard. There are people who, they may fit the age bracket, right? So let's say they are between the ages of 18 and 30, they are Caymanian, but they feel as though, for whatever reason, right? Because I'll tell you, if you're like me, the only image I have in my mind of the Coast Guard is what you see on TV, and a lot of it is like search and rescue, and people jumping from helicopters and those sorts of things, for many of us. So people may question whether or not they have the skill sets. And I know you've spoken to this, Mr. Robert, but either you or Leo can expound on this just as a matter of clarity. Um, for those that may be doubting their potential to qualify for this post, despite being in the required age bracket and being Caymanian, but really wondering, do I really have the skills for this? What do you say to that group of people, who are really, maybe interested? Because you know how it is. You may find something that, what, that sounds exciting for me, but I don't know if I'm right for the job. What would you say to that group of people? And Leo or Mr. Robert, you can take this.
Sure, Rutana, this is a perfect opportunity for the young kid, man, young woman, man, that is looking for maybe an opportunity, a career change. Um, it's the age group is from 18 to 35, and we're looking for individuals who have the zeal, who have the interest to want to learn something new, who wants to put their best foot forward and serve their country. So the opportunities are endless in this regard. Not necessarily that you don't have the prerequisites for the say. However, if you come with the right attitude, and interest, it puts you a step forward in terms of being eligible. Um, Having the criteria or meeting the criteria is one thing, but having the zeal and the overall warmth and willingness to put your best foot forward is also important. So for those persons who may not check all those boxes but are within the 18 to 35 bracket and want to still apply, by all means, I encourage it.
Okay, so as long as they meet the age and nationality requirements, if they feel like they are passionate enough, and this may be something for them, apply and then see what happens. I think about so many people that I know, in law enforcement and in other fields, within the Cayman Islands, who would have never thought that that would have been the career for them, or that they were suited for the career. I know over the years I've heard a multitude of stories, from people, in especially in my experience, a lot of them coming from experiences with the RCIPS and otherwise, just because of interviews I've done on the show, and speaking to the fact that it was only through the opportunity where someone said, give it a go, give it a try, this might be for you, that they then discovered something that they were passionate and good at. And this sounds to me like it's quite similar, right? You won't know unless you try. And I really encourage, persons that if you feel the slightest inkling that this may be for you, that you do apply. And so, Mr. Robert, Mr. Leo, Mr. Jaron Carter, on Facebook says, well, I look forward to working with you, Mr. Robert and Leo. So I guess that means that, Mr. Jaron Carter, who is tuned in via Facebook, intends to apply or has applied. And Jaron, if you don't mind, Andrew, have you already applied, or do you plan to apply? Or are you just getting information today, or this is something that's been, on your mind? I'm curious to know if you could type that in the Facebook feed, if you don't mind, sharing that tidbit of information this afternoon. And for me, it's quite exciting to see a new opportunity, uh, kind of roll itself out for Caymanians to expand their skill sets and the things that they may get to pursue as a career. And next in line of questioning, what what does a career in the Coast Guard look like? What skill sets will you guys be training in? Will they receive, specialized training to be a part of the Coast Guard? What does that training look like? I'm not sure who wants to take that one.
So, Rutana, the Coast Guard is broken down in basically two operational segments. One being a the sort of bosunmate designation, and then an engineering designation. So the bosunmate designation, under that particular rank or designation, there comes a various different skill sets and requirements. And one of them is being a boat operator, also known as a coxswain. Yes. In addition to that, there is also the maritime law enforcement officer, rescue diver, and underwater specialist. So these are some of the areas that falls under the bosun mate. Um, Separate and apart from that is the engineering rate, or the MK rate. Now that individual will essentially be the engineering arm of the organization, which helps and assists with the crew with the fixing and repairing of the vessels. There will be various training afforded to those individuals who have selected in that criteria or selected that area as an interest. And throughout their progression and career, they will be afforded certain training that allow them to progress in terms of skill sets. Yeah. Ideally, and the overall plan for Coast Guard is that everyone who steps forward within the organization, who can walk away at the end of their career and say that I have had the level of qualification. So if I decide to move on from the Coast Guard, I will be just as marketable out there in the private sector. You won't be subject to being in one particular role for extended amount of period of time, and not having that sort of qualification behind your name. So there's a merit of opportunity here for within various intervals, and those are just to name a few. But it's the bosunmate rate, which allows for the diving, maritime law enforcement, and rescue diver. And then there's the engineering rate, which is another element within the organization, which speaks to more so repair, maintenance of vessels.
All right, thank you for sharing that. And through explaining all of that, Leo, what it indicated to me was not only are you guys opening up the opportunity for employment right now, but a career within this field, within the Coast Guard, an opportunity to continue to grow and expand your skill sets through the training that is provided. And so Mr. Jaron Carter answers my question on Facebook. He says, I have applied already, looking forward to this as a big change in my life, as I was a Marine cadet in the Cayman Islands Cadet Corps as well, and working for the Coast Guard and serving my country is more love than work for me. And so that is shared by Mr. Jaron Carter. And I think that identifies what you have said. You are looking for people with, a passion for wanting to serve country and to learn and to grow. So I wish you the best of luck, Mr. Jaron Carter, in your application to the Coast Guard. And I wish you all the success should your application be successful. And I would be very excited. And I will ask here on the show if you gentlemen could oblige me a future interview once your candidates have been selected, whoever they are, the opportunity to do some check-ins along the way to see how training is going and to kind of showcase that, because I'm sure there are persons who maybe they aren't yet of the age range, for example, but this is a new and exciting opportunity, I think, for Caymanians. And so I think it's important to share the journey, in my opinion anyway. So if you wouldn't mind obliging me along the way, should I call you guys and say, hey, okay, what's going on in training, can one of your ladies or gentlemen come on and talk about that. Now, we talk about service, to country and the security and safety of all. Now, although, as I think Robert mentioned, the functions aren't entirely new, but it's in essence taking on a new life now, as both of you have moved into the Coast Guard was, I guess, officially formed, and you guys are setting up the organization and now starting this hiring process. For each of you, if you could individually answer this for me, please, and I'll ask Robert to go first. Um, why, to you, why is the Coast Guard so important for us at this stage? Because there was, the roles were being filled otherwise, but now we're seeing this expanded function, by the formation of the Coast Guard. Why is this important for our country? And you've touched on it a bit before, but I want to refocus that conversation a little bit.
Question, actually. Um, I would say the primary purpose of the Coast Guard is to ensure that the country gets a proper maritime law enforcement, but also, hello?
Go ahead, I can hear you.
The country gets the country gets a proper maritime law enforcement and search and rescue service provided to it, with the right equipment, the right training, and the right persons in it. Again, as it stands right now, the Joint Marine Unit, while fulfilling that overarching remit, they're also officers. So there are occasions where land-based policing, if you will demand that extra police officers are needed. Those officers can be pulled away from maritime duties and deployed elsewhere. I think it's one of the reasons why the Coast Guard was actually created, was to ensure that 24/7, 365 days of the year, there was a dedicated maritime presence. One of the other important factors that the Coast Guard will play is addressing certain international obligations that are placed on the Cayman Islands. As you know, the Cayman Islands is one of the members of the Red Ensign Group, which we are a registering state, and as a vessel registering state, there are certain international obligations placed on us. Where we sit, again, one of those requirements is that we have to ensure that our rescue response area, if you will, is manned or is staffed, if you will, and that we have to be able to respond either directly to a maritime search and rescue call, or that we're able to coordinate responses to those search and rescue calls. Prior to the establishment of the Coast Guard, we didn't really have a rescue coordination center for our rescue region, if you will. It may not be commonly known, but our area of responsibility is quite extensive. It covers up to 200 nautical miles to our west, about 120 to our east. Sorry, I reversed that. It's, to the west is about 200 miles. Then it goes south for about 100 nautical miles, and then north of Cayman. So, as you can appreciate, that's quite a vast area that we have to cover. It's one of our responsibilities under the IMO. Failure to comply with the IMO audit, which is coming, could actually result in us putting our status as a registering state in jeopardy. So again, another important factor that the Coast Guard is addressing those needs.
Okay, and thank you for sharing that, because it puts a much bigger picture on the fact that the Coast Guard isn't just about, I guess, local service to what some of us may perceive to be our local waters and safety around the waters of the Cayman Islands, but there is a much bigger mandate on the Coast Guard than some of us may realize. But Leo, I will ask you the similar question when we come back from the break. It is now 5:32 on the Star 92.7 clock, which means we are going out to our first break. Mr. Robert and Mr. Leo will be with me until 6 o'clock this evening, talking about the recruitment for the Cayman Islands Coast Guard. For the first time, this is taking place. They are charged with the responsibility of essentially putting this Coast Guard and this force together, and a new and exciting opportunity for Caymanians as this recruitment drive continues. We are going out to our first break of our time. Keep it locked for some more Straight Talk on Star 92.7.
Join the conversation. The phone lines are now open. 943-3700. You can also find us on Facebook or email us at straighttalkci@gmail.
There are few things in Cayman that are as iconic as the 2 for $6 deal at Burger King, with the possible exception of our wonderful marine life. Well, possible exception no more. The Big Fish Sandwich has just joined the other stars of 2 for $6. You heard right. Choose from the iconic Whopper, Crispy Chicken Sandwich, Spicy Crispy Chicken Sandwich, and now the Big Fish. And get 2 sandwiches for just $6. Hurry, for a limited time only. Available at Burger King 7 Mile Beach, Waterfront, Walkers Road, and Red Bay.
Cayman National's online banking is still the best way for you to bank. And at Cayman National, you can access your banking when you need it. Enjoy safer, easier, and discounted banking from the comfort of your home or wherever you are. Manage your everyday banking needs, such as checking account activity, paying bills, transferring funds between accounts internally and domestically, and much more. Remember, we're stronger together through our efforts to keep the Cayman community healthy.
It's hump day. Roll back. Roll back. Every Wednesday and Thursday, all Rubis stations are rolling back the price on all fuel purchases by 20 cents. Every customer will save 20 cents on every gallon of fuel purchased on Wednesday and Thursday. Every customer. Only at Rubis. Roll back.
Roll back. Only at participating Rubis service stations.
Flow is excited to bring you everything you'll ever need in a mobile plan. Be the superhero in your family and get the new mobile family plan. The family plan gives you up to 4 lines for $60 per line per month with unlimited talk and data. You heard right. Unlimited talk and data. Don't miss out on getting your family plan with Flow today. Visit discoverflow.ky/family for details. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Flow Cayman Islands. Terms and conditions apply. Flow, you deserve the best.
Welcome back to Straight Talk with Ruth Anna on Star 927.
Welcome back, folks. You are tuned into Straight Talk, brought to you exclusively by Star 92.7 Premium Radio. I am your host, Ruthanna Young, joined this afternoon by Mr. Robert Scotland and Mr. Leo Anglin from the Cayman Islands Coast Guard. We are talking about Coast Guard recruitment. They are recruiting for the very first time to fill the positions for the Coast Guard. There are 10 openings, all available for young Caymanians, no prior experience in this field required. They have a full training program and are looking for excited, committed, passionate people who will want a new role in helping to serve our country, both locally and in a wider context as well. Read a few comments have come in via Facebook that I'm going to share, but of course, for anyone who wants to join in this conversation or ask questions via phone, 943-3700 is the line in studio. You can also WhatsApp me at 324-1565 or email me at straighttalkci@gmail.com. And for those of you who are tuned in via the Star 92.7 Facebook feed, you can also leave your comments there. So we have Mr. Ian Levine says greetings to all. He is tuned in on Facebook. I also have Miss Nikki Ebanks who says, this is such an awesome program. Thank you, Robert and Leo, for stepping in, and I look forward to hearing more about this. As someone who works in water sports, this is a huge step to see this now happening where us Caymanians can apply. And she also says to Mr. Jaron Carter, I 100% agree. I'm definitely applying for this amazing position. And that from Miss Nikki Ebanks. So I do want to ask that question very specifically, and I know the answer to it, but in case there are other young Caymanian women who are wondering, is this a position that both men and women can apply for? Is it open to both male and female candidates?
Definitely, Ruth Anna, we're looking for both. Um, you know, the traditionally uniformed services has always been, I guess you could say, a male-dominated industry. Um, but we're hoping to break the mold with that. Ideally, if we could have a 50-50 split or even a 60-40, it would be great. Women are proving every day that there is no job that they can't do, and they can do it as well as men, and in most cases, they do it even better.
Robert, you are so very, very smart. And Nikki, you know what that says? That says to me is that you need to go out and find other like-minded women who will want to join you in applying to the Cayman Islands Coast Guard, because we know balance is key, of course. And so I just wanted to make sure we made that explicitly clear, because, as you say, the uniformed offices in general can often be male dominated, but we continue to see the evolution of that in society, in our own in particular. And so it's exciting to see that what you guys would ideally want is a 50-50 split, right? Half female, half men, good balance of just different talents and skills. And so I want to go back for those who may just be tuning into the show this afternoon. Just to reiterate for me, the Cayman Islands Coast Guard is recruiting. What are the criteria for applying? Who are you looking for? Leo, if you could take that.
Yes, Ruth Anna. So the Cayman Islands Coast Guard is recruiting Caymanians sort of the age group of 18 and 35. The the post is for the role of ordinary seaman, um, and any individual who are successful through the application process will be required to go through an 8-week training process. And from there, they'll move on to more advanced training specific to the role in which they're best suited in.
Okay. And so it is, and just to reiterate, because I know that I got a message to, and I'm going to turn up the volume a little bit, but just for anyone who may have missed it listening on the radio, they said it was the volume was a little bit low. That the training program essentially starts out as a general training, and then based on what skill sets are identified along the way, then you are moved into more specific roles as you move along in your training. So Miss Nikki Ebang says, thanks, amazing to hear that, Robert. I do agree. There are not enough women who are out there who are afraid to break the barrier, as they feel it's not, and it was cut off there, so I guess she's saying that it's not for women. But we as a society can only benefit from having balance in the workforce in any field, and the Coast Guard is no different. And she goes on to say, yep, stepping up for these positions, even though they will definitely qualify. Right. So she's encouraging, um, I got you, Nikki. She's encouraging other women to apply for the position, and I would like to do the same. There are 10 open positions for young Caymanians between the ages of 18 and 30 in our newly formed Coast Guard. And besides for your two roles, is this the first time, like the first round of recruitment to fill the various positions outside of your own for the Coast Guard?
Yes, Ruth Anna, yes, it is. And it's also 18 to 35,
Oh, okay, 18
the age
to
group.
35. I do
Yes.
apologize. 18 to 35, not 30. 18 to 35. So if I really really wanted to, as long as like I could catch you before November, I still qualify. Right, because I'm still 35. So, and men and women. And also I wanted to go back to something we touched on earlier. Now, although the Coast Guard is new, and I use that in quotations, and evolving as you guys hire and start the look forward to starting the process of training, what would you say to potential candidates about what are some of the possible opportunities? And I think, Leo, you touched on this earlier, but I want to just really drive home the idea of what are the possibilities for a career in the Coast Guard, right? Because you, Leo, you explained this a little bit, I think, but it is such what I took back from that was there's such a broad scope of opportunities, and you spoke to essentially two arms of the Coast Guard, and I want to make sure we share that in at least equal detail for anyone who is just tuning in.
Okay, Ruthanna. So within the Coast Guard, what we have is called occupational specialty areas. There are actually 10 occupational specialty areas that each member of the Coast Guard, they can do one or they can do more than one. The Coast Guard person, as they progress in rank, will have acquired more than one occupational specialty. So a couple of occupational specialty areas are patrol boat or patrol vessel crew member, a tactical boarding officer, an underwater specialist, mechanical engineering specialist, a coxswain, a boat accident investigator, an operations and rescue coordination officer, a Coast Guard trainer, and the ever needed clerical and administrative support.
Okay. And thank you. And Nikki says, I definitely look forward to this opportunity, and I hope that other women will step up and apply. Thanks for having my back, Ruthanna. Nikki, I got you, girl. And I think as long as I got you, and we help make sure we stand united and with every other woman and that we can encourage to apply to positions such as this, because equally that Jaren and Nikki would be interested in this role. I am sure there are other Caymanians, male or female, who may need just a little bit of encouragement. So maybe you are listening and it isn't necessarily for you, but maybe for someone that you know. I implore you, I encourage you, whether you tell them about it, you share the link to the live stream so that they can watch the show and hear about it themselves. Some people just need a little extra encouragement to take that next step, especially when something is new and unfamiliar, right? Now, how does someone apply to the Coast Guard? Leo or Robert, either one. How would someone apply?
So there's the www.recruitment.gov.ky, which is you can fill out the application by clicking on the link, going straight into the application there and filling out what you need necessarily. Also, there is the recruitment@gov.ky is also another option for an individual who wants to apply.
And so they have to apply online. Is there anything that's required? Like, will they have to upload any documents? Do you need to upload a resume, or is that all and put it online? Do you need to get a police clearance? I know that right now the application for police clearances are all online, and they send them out to whoever they need to be sent to. What are the components of the application? What will they need to prove that they are Caymanian? What documents might they need to upload? If you would be familiar with that process at all. Because I know sometimes HR is handled in a different component, so I'm not sure how much of that you may personally be aware of. Robert, if you could maybe shed some light on that.
Okay, thanks for that. Yes, it's a standard government application form. The recruitment process is actually being handled for us by the portfolio of the civil service, and we can't say thanks enough to them. They've been of tremendous help. But yeah, all of the applications, all of the supporting documents, once you visit the government recruitment website, the application form itself tells you exactly what you need to include on there. Yes, we're asking for a photograph, and also you will have to upload a police clearance certificate on there as well.
Okay, thank you. And Leo, I want to go back to you. The same question I had asked Robert earlier, and in regards to why do you feel the Coast Guard and these new roles are so important and critical to Cayman at this time?
More now than ever. We've seen unprecedented number of boats, persons purchasing boats significantly. Our numbers have grown on any given day. 10 years ago, we could have seen maybe 5 to 6 boats in the North Sound. Now, on any given Sunday or Saturday, we were seeing 100 or more. And often the case is that persons aren't being as responsible as they should when they're venturing out in the waters. And when they get into distress, that's where we come into that role. But in addition to that, you find that in this day and age, you have an increase in other activities that are going on that are not in the best interest of society, and that is essentially where we come into play. There's going to be so many elements in which the Coast Guard is going to play in terms of educating the public as it relates to the best process of navigating the waters and going out, and the better equipment to use and so on. So not only from an enforcement perspective, not only from a search and rescue, but also from a method of educating the general public as to how the best way to go about boating and a more responsible way about going and boating. So it's a two-pronged approach, and from that respect, and it's very important to have those elements, because in the event you get yourself in trouble, you want to definitely know that there's someone to come to assist you and be there in need.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And what has been, and I want to probe a little bit into what you guys have been up to over the last months. Now, I want to say, if memory serves me correct, I believe I interviewed you both in the infancy stages when you both took up the new roles. It was to be honest, I'm very I don't remember how long ago that's been, because I feel like COVID has stolen time from us. But how long has it been since you guys have taken up these roles and have been working to put the formatting together for the Coast Guard?
Well, both myself and Lieutenant Commander Anglin took the post in 2018, August 2018, actually. Since then, we've been engaged in actually, if you will, building the foundation of what will be the Coast Guard. We mentioned earlier that it's actually building it from the ground up. So that entails developing SOPs, even down to the uniforms that you see us wearing, coming up with our creed, our crest, our logos, the recruitment selection criteria, the training syllabus. We've also been working on creating our Coast Guard law. So a lot of the administrative stuff that is necessary in the background to make the Coast Guard what it will be is what we've been actively engaged with. Also, I think it was September of last year, the Commissioner of Police gave us responsibility, or operational responsibility, for the Joint Marine Unit. So we've also been overseeing the Joint Marine Unit from a strategic and operational perspective, while doing the Coast Guard development in the background.
Okay. And that gives some insight as to what you've been up to. Now, this was an earlier question that came in, and I'm going to frame the question up a little bit. So it was a question from Mr. Levon Bodden, and he did say, when in his opinion, he's assuming that at some point we will legalize marijuana. So he says, when we legalize ganja, would we need this massive type of force? Now, what I think that question sheds light to is the impression that the major function of the Coast Guard and any type of similar marine unit, the sole purpose is to stop, boats carrying drugs into the island. Is that a major component of the Coast Guard? Is that the sole focus? Right? You've answered that through various means, but he, like many others, perceive that to be the singular job of, marine policing, and so as a result, the view has carried on that that's the role of the Coast Guard. Is his assumption correct, that is your major role, or is part of the major role of the Coast Guard?
Ruth Anna, we are first and foremost a law enforcement entity, which entails that we enforce all the laws of the island, not just some, but all. And that ranges from interdiction of narcotics into the island, down to assisting DOE with enforcement of marine parks, and even down to assisting Department of Environment also with any spills or any noxious substances may be in the water. Yes, counter narcotics is a big part of our job. You know, again, we are a law enforcement entity. Um, you know, the opinions around marijuana, ganja, when whether or not they should be legalized or not, that is outside of the remit of law enforcement. We are there to enforce the laws of the island. Should those change, then obviously a part of our workload would fall off. But let's not forget that the vessels that are bringing what people believe is just ganja into the island are also bringing firearms, ammunition, and also illegals from other countries. Um, we have had people come into the country via canoes that are wanted back in their home country for murders, robberies, and everything else. Again, we don't make guns here, so the only how that weapons come into the island is either through the airport or by the sea. So while I understand the differing views around the smuggling of ganja into the island, it's also what's coming along with the ganja that we're also focused on preventing coming into the island. We live in paradise and we want to keep it that way.
That is a very complete answer. Thank you for tackling that for me, Robert. And as we approach the final few minutes of the show, I will ask you both to give final thoughts and reminders to the listening public. Leo, I'll ask you to go first, and then Robert, I'll ask you to wrap up for me on that respect. So final thoughts and reminders.
Sure, Ruth, I just want to say that this is a ideal opportunity for young Caymanians to serve their country and to do something that I think that they ultimately love, like as I do love my job. No two days are the same, and I don't think there's ever been a day where I've not want to get up and actually put on my uniform and get out the door. But I also want to advise the listening public and those are persons who are interested that in this process in which we go through recruiting, that it does have some benchmarks in which people must meet, and I would say take this opportunity to start working on their physical fitness leading up to the examination processes. Um, in the ad, it did state that there will be a 13-minute a 1 mile run for 13 minutes, 25 push-ups, 25 sit-ups, and so on, and a 20-yard swim. So I want to reiterate to the listening audience and the viewing audience to start to prepare themselves for that, because it's a pass or fail mark. You must maintain a level of standard in order to make sure that we're a proficient organization and one that is going to be able to service this country and do it so well. So thanks again for the listening audience, and thank you, Rutana.
Thank you so much, Leo and Robert. Final thoughts and reminders for me before we exit the show this afternoon. Robert?
Oh, sorry about that. Rutana, listening audience, thank you for having us, and thank you for listening to us. Lieutenant Commander Anglin pretty much summed it up nicely there. Again, I would say if you are a young male or female Caymanian who is looking for a exciting, rewarding job, and actually I use the word job loosely. It's not really a job. It will be an adventure for you. The Coast Guard is your opportunity, and also, you will actually be a part of making history. Um, you know, 20, 30 years from now, you'll be able to sit with your children, your grandchildren, and say, I was actually a part of, or a part of what in some institutions is called a plank owner. I'm a plank owner of the Coast Guard. It's one of the reasons that attracted me back to uniform service was the ability to be a part of something and building it from the ground up. So again, if you're looking for a new start or a new avenue, definitely come and submit your application, and we'll be here and we'll be happy to have you.
All right. Thank you both so much for your time and your continued. I say continued because I know both of you who have been in different roles serving country for a very long time. And so this is just a new adventure for you too, as well, I'm sure. And so thank you both for the work that you're putting in. I look forward to getting to see who the who the 10 candidates were, and who was selected and who is going on this adventure. I cross my fingers and I pray and I hope and I encourage other young women to apply. I hope we get that 50-50 split, 5 guys, 5 girls. And of course, I know that goes up to, who applies and who can pass the test and who is eligible for the post. But thank you guys for sharing the information. I look forward to further updates on the developments around the Cayman Islands Coast Guards. Guys, it is 5, just about to turn the dial to 6 o'clock this evening, and I will be back tomorrow right here on Straight Talk. Of course, same time, same place, from 5 to 6 p.m. on Star 92.7. And please rock out on your ride home on to Star 92.7. Keep it locked until tomorrow when I talk to you for some Straight Talk.
Let's get to the point. More Straight Talk to come on Star 927. Go.
Press. Money don't need more press.
Yeah. Connect to the culture.
When I die, put my money in the grave. When I die, put my money in the grave.
Star 927.